Preparing for our Therapy Thursday. We are preparing for Therapy Thursday, our weekly broadcast on mental health topics. Therapy Thursday is brought to you by Affinity Counseling Services and A Lovely Pause. This is a test.
Affinity Counseling Services is located in Piggott, Arkansas and Kennett, Missouri. We currently have 4 therapists in our office and are taking new clients. To join our waiting list, you can visit counselingwithaffinity.com. And to find out more, you can call me, Kindred, at 870-324-5122 or 573-840-0440. Thank you.
A Lovely Pause is a local nonprofit created to provide community education, awareness, coping skills, and support, and other trauma-related disorders. This month, subscribers to our newsletter will receive a free Parenting Pause checklist. Use this tool to help determine what you're feeling and what type of parenting pause you need to take. Use the checklist to help you find ways to ground yourself and to be a great example of emotional maturity for your kids. Sign up at A Lovely Pause, PAUSE.com, or visit us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
This is a test.
Yeah, we're good.
Therapy Thursday normalizes discussing mental health topics in a safe, supportive environment because not being normal is normal.
Welcome, everyone, to Therapy Thursday, our weekly installment here at Affinity Counseling Services, where we talk about different mental health topics from a personal and professional perspective. My name is Matthew Yount, lead therapist and president here at Affinity Counseling.
Oh, hi. I'm
You said
Andrea.
you wanted to introduce yourself.
Well, I said we could talk about it. We didn't practice, so
I just talked about it. Go.
I'm Andrea Yount, and this is I guess I'm Andrea Yount. I don't know what to do. We haven't done this before.
So I'm introducing myself now.
You're introducing yourself. I'm Andrea Yount. I am owner and vice president at Affinity and chairman of the board at A Lovely Pause.
And I'm Stacy Diggs, and I am Chief Marketing Director and over communications at Affinity Counseling Services, and also Vice Chair of A Lovely Pause, and I'm happy to be here.
We should definitely practice that next time a little bit
Really,
better.
really need to.
Yeah, doing that just right off the cuff.
Hold
is
on,
just
we got
a-
another one here.
Oh yeah, Kendra gets to do it too. This is fun.
Hi, I'm Kindred. I'm behind the camera as always. And I am the office manager for Affinity Counseling Services and the secretary of the board with A Lovely Pause.
Yay!
Oh, thank you. All right, good. See, that's off my shoulders now. I don't have to do that anymore.
Bunch of anxious people trying to explain who they are. Who am I? I don't know.
I don't even remember.
Well, you mentioned last week, or I think it was last week, you're like, you should let us start introducing ourselves. And the tone in your voice and stuff, I kind of took it as that me introducing you was coming off as rather mansplainy or something. So I was like, okay, that's fine.
I just thought because it's a Lovely
Go.
Pause and Affinity that we should just, I don't know. It was just something I was thinking about. It was mentioned one time and then
It's-
we did it all of a sudden. And I was just like, hello, here I am.
It's a great idea, though. I do think it makes sense. You know,
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Just less I have to remember.
We'll be a little more prepared next time though. Okay.
Yes, I need to write down
I just
something.
like throwing things at you guys and seeing how you respond. Well,
Bunch of
welcome
anxious
everyone.
people. Let's
Hey,
make them more anxious. That's fun, right? For a therapist.
it's entertaining. So we're talking about Am I Doing It Right today regarding parenting.
Mm-hmm.
We just had a Am I Doing It Right moment, not regarding parenting, but still it seems to fit. But we needed to go over a few business things first. So let's talk about how the first fundraiser for A Lovely Pause just wrapped up this weekend. How'd you do?
We did amazing. We were really surprised at how well we did, how much the community came out to support, even if they weren't there. The voting online or sending donations online or giving us donations beforehand, just making sure that if they couldn't be there, that they had the ability to help and show their support anyways. And I was just very grateful for everything. And I know that the rest of the board was as well.
Yeah. So you raised a good amount of money and got some good exposure. And for those of you that may not be aware, you want to tell everyone what A Lovely Pause is.
Well, Stacy did that when we were about to start, but A Lovely Pause is a local nonprofit that offers community education, awareness, coping skills, and support to people with PTSD and other trauma-related disorders. And this was our first community fundraiser, and we raised almost $2,000, which was amazing. We were super excited about that. And we have a goal to raise $5,000 by this fall, so we can begin helping our first clients. And we're on track to make that goal happen. So
Yeah, you're over halfway
great.
there right
Yeah.
now, just from previous donations and
Yes.
things like that.
And we have more stuff coming up this summer. So
Yeah, awesome. So if people want to donate, where do they go to?
alovelypause.com/donate.
Awesome. Great. And let's see. Any other news that we need to announce? I'm in the process of getting certified for EMDR therapy. For those of you that don't know.
You can practice it.
I
now,
can practice
correct?
it now.
And Carrie.
Yep. And EMDR is an excellent therapy. I've been using it for the last few weeks. Really has been a game changer in the way that I do counseling. Already was getting really good feedback on the counseling services that we provide, but this just seems to add another layer and is an excellent tool in the toolbox. It's a form of therapy that uses eye movement as a form of processing, kind of like how you do when you're in REM sleep. And it's a lot less verbal than maybe like regular forms of therapy you may have done before, as far as how you don't have to get in deep to the memory in a verbal sense, although you do touch it in more of a thought sense. But for people who have difficulty with verbalizing their trauma, it seems to be very effective.
So it can be used instead of or along with
In tandem with, yes.
with therapy. So instead of for
Yeah, sure.
That's very interesting.
Yeah,
to me.
yeah. You don't have to do traditional talk therapy with it, which involves a lot of verbal processing. This does have a verbal processing component. It's just not as detailed or in depth. You kind of stay fairly surface level, and then you just let whatever you want to talk about come up.
Right.
And then you express it in however many words you want to express it, and then you use the eye movements as a way to get the brain to continue the processing.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And for our people listening that might not be in the Piggott or Kennett areas, it's something that you can do via telehealth.
Absolutely.
As well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I'm learning it on the internet, and I had to have it done to me in order to be a part, to get certified in it. So I did it with somebody that was on a computer screen, and it worked just fine. No issues.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it with people on telehealth for the last few weeks. So I think it's been very beneficial. Glad to have it in the toolbox. So for those of you that may want trauma therapy but have been kind of worried about having to talk about your trauma, this is a really good way to go about doing it without having to verbally process so much.
And to find out more about that, you can visit Affinity's website, counselingwithaffinity.com/EMDR.
Yep. All right, so let's get into it. We are continuing our conversation in regards to parenting today. And we've chosen the topic, Am I Doing It Right? And we were just having this conversation. One of us was talking about our kids and wondering if we were having the conversation correctly. I think it's something that any parent that wants to be a good parent probably thinks about quite a bit.
Yeah.
Am I doing it right? So how do you know if you're parenting correctly?
Well, I guess you don't until after it's already done, right?
Yeah, you don't really get a whole lot of feedback until after it's over with. And they're like,
There
let's
are
see.
clues, though.
Yeah, there are clues along the way that you might be on the right path. So what are those clues?
Your children communicate with you? That's a big one for me.
It's one that was just on my mind, too.
Yeah.
So, what do you mean communicate with you?
If something's going on with them, and even if they don't want to have that conversation, they will have that conversation truthfully, honestly, openly. you know, sometimes it's hard to have that conversation with your kid. But if you go to your kid and you're like, okay, we're having this conversation, if they open up and have that conversation, that's a big deal.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it means that you've developed a lot of trust.
Yes.
Because there is this angst that
Yes.
goes on a lot of times in parenting of as your kids get older, they're supposed to want to separate from you. And as they want to separate from you, there's the natural inclination to want to view you as the enemy. You are their captor, the one holding them back from all of the possibilities in life and making them follow the old terrible structure that you have set up that's antiquated and no longer needed, and they've got a better way of doing it. But they also need you, and they can't pay their own bills, and they still don't know anything really, and they kind of know that. So you're in this weird thing of they need you, but they don't want to need you. So they don't want to come to you to talk about those things.
Some kids do, some kids don't. We have kids that are very open and come to us when they want to talk, and then we have kids that are not.
We don't
So,
have any kids that really just want to come talk to us.
the older Avery gets, I think it comes with age.
Okay, that's with age, though.
With
She's
age.
not a kid
But-
anymore.
But no, like it was like pulling teeth getting her to talk as a teenager as well. So
It seems like that's kind of like had its ebbs and flows with my relationships with the girls particularly, and now that River's approaching teenage years, I can kind of feel the ebbing back
Yeah.
that happens as they approach teenage years, where they like kind of quit communicating as much, but then one day you just hit on something and like they just start talking,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Yes, yay, but you don't say that out loud.
Right.
You have to like keep your poker face on
right,
about
but
it.
you're inside. You're like, oh, here's my clue. Here,
Yes.
you're such a great human being, and I actually had a help in doing that. You know,
Yes.
like, yay, I'm glad you're a good kid. Like, you know, your kids are a good kid, but like seeing them grow in those efforts that you're trying to put out there is very rewarding for yourself. But also, you just feel this. You're so proud of them, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. River and I had a moment when we were coming back from Kennett. I had to go to the laundromat over there because my dryer went out. Sad face, and I made River come with me. He's like, "Why do I gotta go?" I'm like, "Cause you're gonna help me carry in like this 3 loads of like big old bushels of laundry." Anyway, on the way back, we were chit chatting, and I kind of like let out this sigh because I had a situation where like one of my relationships like had kind of had bummed me out a little bit, and I didn't even mean to sigh, but like he noticed it. He's like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm like I just had like a situation with a friend, and this, that, and the other." Well, it ended up opening up this whole conversation about him and like some similar things like going on in his life. And like all of a sudden we were having this back and forth, and he's getting to be a teenager now. And so like, we don't talk as much. And I was like, oh, yay. Like you those little moments happen when you least expect them,
Yeah.
Yep. And that's one way that lets you know that you're doing it right is there's the capability for those moments. Most of the time, your kids aren't going to talk to you all the time about everything that's going on the older they get. But you're going to have moments where there is time for those exchanges and they feel comfortable having those exchanges. Okay, so there's comfort early and capability for communication. All right. What else tells you that you're doing it right?
That they're able to be responsible.
Yeah.
That they're able to get their stuff done. Have responsibilities.
Especially for other people.
Yes.
I think one of the ways that I know that our kids we're doing something right as parents, is that our kids can be respectful and responsible around others. They're not so much with us. I mean, because we're their natural
Right.
resistance. Now, I mean, they are respectful to us.
Yes.
They're not disrespectful. But if they're going to be at their disrespectful moments, it's going to be with us.
Right, at home.
Yeah, it's not going to be with other people. And so they have the capability to show appropriate behavior in public. They can be responsible with others. Others tend to see them as being like good examples. So we get their worst,
Yeah.
but they're willing to present their more positive self and in a respectable manner to the public.
Yeah.
And so I take that as a way that we're doing something right in that circumstance. Because they have to learn. I want them to feel comfortable enough at home to be their turd self if that's what they're feeling at that moment. Now, I won't tolerate disrespect, but I don't mind them being like cranky or frustrated or things like that, or even not wanting to come do their chores. You know, I appreciate that as they get older, they'll just get up and do it, knowing that complaining is futile.
Yeah.
But if they need to complain, that's fine. You can complain while you clean the kitchen. I don't care. Just
I
get it
complain
clean.
while I clean it.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
Just, as long as you're getting it done.
Yeah. So
None of us like it.
Right, that's exactly what I say. They're complaining while they're cleaning the kitchen. I'm like, I know, buddy, me too. Let's just get it done. Like, I don't like it either.
yeah. So there's that sense of their willingness to do things in public that show that they can be responsible and be good citizens. That's one of the things that we're trying to raise here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're not always going to want to, like you were just saying, like not always going to want to do the things, right? Like, but being consistent with them to have them do the things anyway. I think that's being a good parent, because you're going to get that pushback, right? Like, or doing it right, not good parent. Like, we've got a volunteer opportunity tomorrow. I'm going to take River to, and he's not like super stoked about it. He's like, oh, it's my day off school. It's Good Friday. Like, I don't got to go to school and I got to go do this thing. And I'm like, yes, but you're going to go do it. And we're, and make it happen. And then you can go have fun and do the other things, like you give them that balance of like, they still get the things and a say, but like sometimes you still, put the foot down and be like, but we're still going to do this.
Yeah. Now, they get off school tomorrow?
They do.
Good. Carter can go clean the Kennett office down without any problem.
There you go.
I didn't even realize that. Good. So, but you bring up a really good point. It's like they're willing to go do those things even if they don't really want to. Like, we had to do that last night.
Yeah.
None of us.
Yeah.
We were all exhausted, but it was like church got canceled, but there's still an Easter thing this weekend that has to be prepared
And
for.
it's still our responsibility to prepare for it.
Yep. And so the storms weren't that as bad as we thought they were going to be, thank goodness. So we instead we're like, okay, if anybody else goes up there to get ready for it, we're going to go too. And someone did. And so we were like, okay, pull yourselves together, guys. I know we're all exhausted and nobody wants to do this, but we're going to go do it. And we did, and we did fine. I had a good time.
It always makes you feel better, too,
It
when you
does.
go do that stuff, when you don't want to do it, right? Because you're exhausted, so you go and not that it doesn't make you more exhausted. It doesn't take that away, but you're up moving around. You're doing stuff.
Actually, it helps a little.
With people, for people, with your family, with people you care about. It does. It just makes yourself feel a little bit better, and then you can go home and crash.
Especially whenever you've been like, if your job is like sitting and
Yes.
working at like at a computer thinking, and then you're just doing a monotonous task, it's almost less exhausting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, because really I got to thinking the same thing. I'm like, what else am I going to do? I'm going to lay here super tired and try not to go to sleep too early and zone out on TikTok or TV and complain the whole time that I don't feel good. Or I can get up and go do something worthwhile.
Yeah.
So just make yourself get up and go do it. You're mad at me because I was like, we're going to go do this. And you're like, you took my choice away. It's like, I know. I did.
I was going to go do it. I just don't like people telling me what to do.
I know.
It's my
It
decision.
was the way that he did it. I was like, I was already planning on going to church. Yes, but you just told me what I was doing.
Yes.
I don't go down for that.
Well, either way, you
He
did.
doesn't normally do that. I was like, that's not fair. That's not fun.
Yeah.
Let's not do that.
Well, because I knew what resistance was coming anyway. It was going to be the whole, I don't want to do that. And I was like, I know, I don't want to do it either. So let's just tell ourselves we're going to go do it, and let's go do it.
And when the kids are like, I don't want to go do it, giving them those opportunities, well, they're going to have to do it anyway, right? But they get to feel those benefits, because otherwise, like if they get to opt out of every single
Yeah.
thing they want to opt out of, they don't get to reap that reward.
Yeah.
But it's a different
Doing
kind of
it and
reward.
having fun and feeling better afterwards.
Yes.
Yeah, they sit there and stuffed eggs with candy.
And they brought candy home.
And then they were in there joking with each other the
yeah,
whole
they had
time.
a fun time regardless of what they say. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and so it's getting them to do things that are worthwhile, even though you don't want to do it and they don't want to do it either. And I think it's good to show them you don't want to do
exactly.
it either.
Yeah.
It is, because what do we normally do whenever we don't want to do something either and our kids are complaining about it? We get angry. And we get angry, we're like, well, I don't want to do it either. Blah, oh, don't do it that way. Be like, I know. You know, this
Yeah.
is what responsibility is, you know, and we do care about church and we do care about our, you know, what we're doing and we do care about all these things. So we need to get up and do these things. And so that's the only way you can teach your kids how to do those things.
Yeah, life is
to-
not found in the sedentary moments where you're distracting yourself and wishing, you know, that things were different or better, or just like not thinking anything at all. It's better to be up and doing things, even if you're tired and exhausted. It's better to have meaning in life and things to do and purposes and be exhausted than it is to have no meaning, wondering what you're even here for, and but have all the comforts available to you.
And that doesn't mean don't rest, you know, obviously be an example of rest as
Yeah.
well. But
You-
like
you rest
pushing
when you
through-
fall over.
No, not really. That's terrible logic.
It's still a reality.
Well, that's terrible. You need to work away from that ideal.
Working on it.
Now I forgot what I was going to say.
That's okay. It's cool. I've got things to say, I'm sure.
Okay.
What other... I'll fill the vacuum here. All right, so what else? We need at least one more thing. What else tells you that you're doing parenting right?
I mean, you kind of mentioned it before, but like you get to kind of see it the post parenting, you know, like after you're never done being a
Right.
parent, but like there's a certain point where they're young people of their own, you know, calibers, and there will be these little things that happen that you're like, oh my gosh, like I did something, like, because like look at how like good they handled that difficult situation, or like look how much they're prioritizing these things that like I didn't even think they cared about as kids, but I was just like being like, this is important and you should. And then all of a sudden, like one day later on in their lives, you're like, oh my gosh, they are prioritizing that too. You
And
know?
how they take, you know, the things that you have taught them and make them their own, you know, it
Yeah.
just makes you it's just that much more. That's how you know, because when
Yeah.
they take those things that you have taught, but they make them their own, that's when you know that it's theirs and not, you know, because I don't want my kid to be a copy of me
Yeah.
or to do things because I want them to or have told them to. I want them to learn from my mistakes and become a better person than I was in their own right.
Yep.
Sure.
And when they take that and they do that, that is when you know when they're comfortable being themselves and have their own beliefs and ideals and have taken those things and made it their own.
Yeah,
You're-
absolutely.
That's when you know you're like, oh, that's
So I want to say something here
done
that
something right.
I think is
Yes.
important to put out there, in that we have to. I want to make sure that I'm coming across in a way that I don't want to judge people for their kids not being in the best of circumstances, because they probably weren't in the best of circumstances either. I just had this conversation with a client this morning who's struggling with their past and how they parented, and when we talked about their past and how they were parented. I'm like, look, you can't hold yourself to the same standards that you think is ideal parenting, because that's like asking somebody, you know, to run a mile in 5 minutes. Well, there's a lot of capabilities you got to have. You got to know how to run correctly. You got to have athleticism.
Yep.
But this is like someone asking you to run a mile in 5 minutes when you've never been trained, and then they took your shoes and kneecapped you right beforehand and said, "Okay, good luck."
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, sure.
I'm like, I'm not sure if I want to be a parent, because I don't know if I have the example to go on. Like, I know what not to do,
yeah, sure.
but that doesn't mean I know what to do.
No, that's a good point.
That is a really good point, because I mentioned before on here, like I had kids before I was ready to have kids. Like I was ready to have kids, like heart wise. But, you know, Avery, we've had lots of conversations. I have OCD. She has OCD. Her OCD is exaggerated because I know some of the things that she had to experience as a young kid with my OCD, right? Like I know, I can see that, and we've had those conversations. And so does she blame me for her OCD? No, because she probably would have had it anyways. But at the same time, I can see where me not being healed as much as I should have been well, not should have been, because it is what it is, right? Me not being healed caused her a little bit more stress than she should have had at such a young age, which then made things worse for her in the long run, which she now knows, and we've had to talk about it, and does therapy and stuff like that. But at the same time, you know, I'm in a bunch of mental health groups online, and I will say that trauma is definitely something that keeps people, and OCD is another big one that keeps people from wanting to have kids, because it affects you so much, and you feel like you don't have control over yourself in so many different situations that you don't want to bring a kid into that situation. And when I started having kids, I didn't even know I had any mental health issues, right? So my kids definitely reaped some of that negative from being in that situation. But at the same time, my kids I've took it upon myself to grow and to heal from that, and to be open with that with my kids. And I feel like my kids have a greater understanding of emotional side of things than a lot of people do at a young age, because they have had to experience that. I'm not glad that they experienced me mentally ill, but at the same time, I'm glad that they see me now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's I can resonate with that a lot. Like the unawareness of myself and my hang-ups and toxic patterns I had. I mean, I had Piper right after I turned 18. You know, I just barely turned 18 and had her, and no clue about so many things.
Yeah.
You know, and so we grew up together. You know, like Piper and me were learning together on that. And Kindred, I think that just the acknowledgement that you made then of like being like, I don't know if I've got enough awareness. That's awareness.
That is, yes.
That's you being aware. And that is a huge thing right there, because you're never going to be the perfect person or the perfect parent. None of us will ever be.
Nope.
There's no manuals for that. Lots of books, but no set
There's
manuals.
lots of things that think they're manual.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yes. But they don't ever take into account every potential circumstance. And so the thing you're aiming for most of the time, if you just want to boil it down to, am I doing it right? Are you making your kid's circumstance a little bit better than the circumstance
Exactly.
that you had? And that's going to be different for different people, because some of us are trying to climb out of generational trauma that has been plaguing our family for generations, and others are starting from third base and thinking like, well, we're all set up, family's healthy, everything's good, why can't other people do this? Well, they didn't start from the same place as you. So we have to be very careful not to be judgmental. We just want to say, can you get your kids to be a little bit better or have it a little bit better than you did? Not a whole lot, just a little. And can they be a little bit better than you were at that age? If you can do that, then you can be like, yeah, okay, I've made things better. And then we want that trend to continue, because it could go the other way. You always make things worse, and you could send the trend that direction.
Can continue the generational trauma,
Yep.
or you can stop it,
Yeah.
or you can at least lessen it.
Yeah, and
if
work
you-
on reversing it.
And if you do that, if you put your effort into just at least making it a little bit better, you're making the world, your family, a little bit better in the long run.
Absolutely. So if you feel like that you need help with that, maybe you've got some generational trauma, some trauma of your own that's been plaguing you, OCD, other mental health disorders, we're here to help. You can contact us at Affinity Counseling Services. That's AFFINITY on Facebook. You can reach us by phone at Piggott office at 870-324-5122, or Kennett, Missouri at 573-840-0440. Or you can sign up with us directly online at counselingwithaffinity.com.
Or if you are in need of services or interested in volunteering for a good cause, if you are passionate about ending generational trauma and trauma cycles, then you can visit alovelypause.com. You can donate, sign up to volunteer, or find out what we're doing on there.
Good. I'm glad you added that plug in. That was good.
We will be taking clients and starting to take clients in the fall, as long as we continue this trend and raise our goal of $5,000 by the fall. We do not have a financial application up on our website yet, but it is in process, and we will be putting that on there as soon as possible.
We are building the foundation now. So, all right. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We'll continue along with our topic next week on parenting. So, see you then. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.